This is the hidden threshold, a place to slow down for a moment, to sit with belief, practice, and meaning when the old certainties don't quite hold, and chaos doesn't feel like an answer either. There's no instruction here, no doctrine to follow, just an honest attempt to stay oriented in the space between devotion and discernment, light and shadow, knowing and not knowing. I'm Varen Vale. Let's begin. People don't just wake up one morning and decide they've lost their sense of meaning. It doesn't work like that. Most folks keep doing what they've always done, sticking to old routines because, well, that's what used to help. They keep pushing forward, but quietly, almost without noticing, something changes. Not enough to knock them flat or force some big reckoning, just enough to make everything feel a bit off-kilter. The real problem isn't doubt, it's getting stuck. It's believing that being committed means you have to stay put, even when the world around you shifts. Honestly, I think a lot of us confuse having a sense of direction with being totally certain. Like, we imagine we need the perfect map, every step laid out before we start moving. But that's not it. Real orientation isn't about having the whole route planned. It's about noticing where you actually are, feeling the ground, paying attention to what's pulling at you, even if you can't quite name it yet. You can be all in and still feel a little lost. You can keep showing up and still need to readjust. Being devoted doesn't mean you have to stand still. And just because you lose your bearings for a while doesn't mean you're lost forever. Sometimes you just need to stop for a second, look around, and figure out where you really are. When I talk about orientation, I don't mean having everything nailed down or being stuck in limbo because you can't decide. Orientation's about having a real point of view. Not hiding out on the sidelines, not going blurry just to dodge picking a side. It all comes down to relationships. Where are you right now? Who and what's around you? What's pulling at your attention? This isn't fixed. It shifts as life shifts. That's what happens when you're actually paying attention. We act like commitment is this giant boulder you pick and then defend forever. But orientation? It feels more like balance. Not the kind you lock into once and for all, either. It's the sort of thing you're always adjusting, sometimes without even noticing. You lean, you shift. Suddenly, the ground isn't where you thought it was. Orientation wants you here, right now. You don't need all the answers. Just pause and ask yourself, what are you reacting to? What's weighing you down today? What's tugging at the back of your mind, even if it's just a whisper? You're not looking for a checklist of answers. You're just staying awake, staying aware. Awareness isn't loud. It doesn't give you a map or a guarantee, but it's alive. It keeps you in touch with what's real, not just what used to be. If you're used to certainty, orientation might feel a bit wobbly. It moves, it flexes, and it wants you to notice instead of tuning out. Not everything, not all at once, just enough to realize how you're standing right now. Losing your sense of direction doesn't usually happen all at once. It sneaks up on you, piece by piece. At first, the things that mattered most start to take over more space than they should. Maybe a tradition that used to ground you becomes the whole story of who you are. Not because you crave strict rules, but because it just feels simpler. It's easier to know yourself when the lines are drawn and the labels are clear. There's comfort in belonging, even if it comes with a name tag. Or maybe it's a habit that used to make you feel alive, and now you're just ticking boxes. You keep up the motions, but deep down, it's for the image, or to meet someone else's expectations, or maybe to keep up with an old version of yourself that used to make sense. Certainty's funny. It starts as clarity, then almost without noticing, it turns into armor. When things get rough, you cling to it like it'll keep you safe. You didn't set out to shut the world out, but that's what happens. It's not that people stop caring. Far from it. They care so much it drains them. Staying on track takes real effort. And honestly, that's exhausting. So routines get rigid. You settle into roles like old furniture, never quite comfortable, but too worn in to change. You put off those tough questions about what you really want. Then you dodge them. Eventually, you just forget. Bit by bit, you trade orientation for self-defense. You're still standing, still look committed on the outside, but you've stopped actually reacting to what's real and right in front of you. The world keeps moving, and instead of moving with it, you dig in, guarding a spot that just doesn't fit anymore. That's how it usually goes. You didn't stage a revolt or storm off. You just stood still, and somewhere along the way, lost your place. Changing direction doesn't mean you failed. It just feels like that if you think sticking to your guns means you never get to pivot. People act like straying from the plan is some kind of betrayal, like stopping to rethink your next step means you messed up. But let's be real. The world keeps shifting, so why shouldn't you? Adjusting your course isn't quitting. It's actually a sign you're paying attention. Doubting yourself doesn't ruin your commitment. Most days, that's how you keep it alive. Reorientation isn't loud or dramatic. There's no grand announcement, no big reset button. You don't need to tear everything down just because you feel a shift. Sometimes, it's just about listening closer than before, not hunting for hidden messages, not desperately searching for signs, just seeing what's right in front of you, right now. That's what makes eclectic practice work for me. It's not about grabbing every idea you see or staying stuck in indecision. It's about being responsive, noticing what life is actually asking from you, instead of forcing yourself to give the same old answer every time. None of this works without a little humility. You've got to admit when something that used to fit doesn't fit anymore. That's not failure. That's just you standing somewhere new. Balance is the same deal. You don't discover it once and hold on to it forever. You keep coming back to it. You notice things shift, you make your adjustments, and you keep moving. That's what practice really looks like. Staying real. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. Forget the big choices for a minute. You don't have to draw hard lines or let go of stuff that once meant something to you. Seriously, let all of that sit for a bit. All you really need is to be honest with yourself. No need to have all the answers. So, where are you, really? What's under your feet? What keeps tugging at you, even if you can't quite name it yet? You don't have to move. No one needs an explanation, not even you. Just notice what's happening inside. Feel the weight you're carrying. See what still sparks something in you. Pay attention to what keeps pulling your mind back, asking for a little more of your energy. That's enough. Honestly. Staying steady comes from just being with yourself, right now, as you are. And you can hang out here as long as you want. If something here stayed with you, let it stay unfinished. You don't need to resolve it tonight. There's also writing from the same place, brief letters on Substack and longer reflections on Medium. I'm Varen Vale, and this has been The Hidden Threshold, a project of Obscura Meridian.